Good afternoon, everyone. At the onset, I would like to thank the organizers and especially Dr. Sandeep Narula for inviting to speak to me on the program Brand Challenges Post-COVID in the post-COVID era. Today's talk, I would like to organize into three slices: the pre-COVID age, the COVID age, and the post-COVID age. Today, we have many distinguished guests with us, including some of the stalwarts, and at the same time, we have some students. Therefore, I'm going to orient my presentation in such a way that it becomes easier for the students to understand. I'd like to start this presentation running through the memory lane, the time I started my career way back in 1974, about 46 years back. At that time, I was the medical representative in Katwalas, a multinational, and I was based at Ahmedabad. I was transferred, or rather, I was posted in Ahmedabad away from my hometown. I loved the job. In those days, there were no such things as brand management or brand managers as we have today. The promotion was mainly handled by the national sales managers or by the sales promotional managers. And I had the good fortune at having one of the best sales promotion managers of those days, who also duplicated as the training manager, Mr. P.M. Sapre. Mr. P.M. Sapre was later on to join Lupin, and today what Lupin is mainly because he was able to complement the activities of Deshbandhu Gupta, and he was the president for a long, long time till he retired. Brand management in pharma came of age when two stalwarts, Professor Mukta and Professor Chittamitra, came into the pharma scene. Together, they were the pioneers of pharma brand management in India. 1976 to around 2004 was the golden age of pharma brand management and pharma brand building. During this time, several brands were built. Brands like Pre-Vital, Cifran, Taxim, Monotrate, Sindopa, Caesar, to name a few. These were the brand leaders in their respective segments. Like, for example, Sindopa had a 90% of share. Even today, it has a 90% share in the anti-Parkinson's syndrome, in the anti-Parkinson's segment. Brand management flourished. One of the reasons of the success of brand management, because most of the brand managers who later on became marketing managers and general managers and so on, they were drawn from the field. Medical representatives who were promoted to the position of area sales managers or the district managers went on to become the brand managers. And the brand managers are the marketing managers of those days who had worked at medical representatives, had full empathy for the field staff. And that was another reason for the golden age of brand management in the Indian pharmaceutical industry. Come 2004, the establishment of the SEZs, or the special economic zones, in various parts of the country, especially in Bagdi, Himachal Pradesh, and in Uttarakhand. SEZ was mainly to give a boost to the Indian pharmaceutical industry. Goods manufactured under these SEZ zones were exempt from excise duty. and as a result, many of the pharma industries they shifted to Pudi and Uttarakhand. While these industries flourished, they also gave birth to what is called as the PCD model of operation, propaganda come distribution, where medical representatives or field managers with a long service they gave up the job and picked up a few products and started marketing in select territories. For example, somebody may promote only in Gujarat, another may promote it only in North Gujarat, another only in Mahsana district. PCD started flourishing and they started giving good competition, strong competition to the national companies. Many of these PCDs adopted unethical means of practicing. And to defend their position, some of the national companies they also indulge into what we call as transactional marketing. What is transactional marketing? It is trading of gifts, holidays, and cash for prescriptions. The classic STP strategy was reduced to GHC strategy. What does the GHC stand for? Gifts, holidays, and cruises. It was virtually trading for prescriptions. And as a result, what happened? Brand managers were then given different tasks, which was far away from brand management. Example, some of the brand executives or the brand assistant brand managers, they were assigned a task of chasing the medical representatives to find out whether the gift cards or the cash cards have been given to the doctors. Following up with the field sales managers to find out whether those doctors to whom the cash cards have been given, whether they have started prescribing or if they are not, what action they have taken. These were the low things which the brand managers had to do, nothing to do with brand management. Brand management was given a decent burial. And in the meantime, many of the PCD companies they became big companies, and one such company, which I call as a corporate PCD company in Ahmedabad, which is today a 1200 crore company. In just 12 years, they have become a 1200 crore company only through the model of transactional marketing. And many of the marketing gurus and many of the markets, they have scant respect for this company. On behalf of one of my clients, I happened to interview one of the brand managers of this company for the position of a group product manager. Unfortunately, he knew nothing about brand management. Words like segmentation, positioning, USP, value proposition were all alien to him. So jokingly, I asked him, in a light-hearted mood, I asked him, if I want to go to Geneva, how do I go? And he immediately showed me 7 routes, one from Ahmedabad, one from Delhi, one directly from Mumbai. The time taken, brand managers had become very effective travel agents. The nexus between some of these pharma companies and some of the doctors caught the eyes of the public. They became the big bad boys of India. Let me caution you, not all the companies, neither all the doctors were in this game of transactional marketing. When I say that Air India flights never run on time, it doesn't mean that all the Air India flights don't run on the time. There's at least one flight in 50 flights which runs on time. Similarly, also, you'll find an exception to this. And as this news of the Nexus started spreading, the government introduced the UCPMP, or the Uniform Code of Marketing Practices for the pharmaceutical industry. They laid down these SOPs for good marketing practices. But it was not mandatory, it was voluntary. Just imagine tomorrow if the police commissioner, the traffic police commissioner of Mumbai or the traffic police commissioner of Delhi says traffic rules are not mandatory, they are voluntary. Traffic signals are not mandatory, they are voluntary. Can you imagine what could be the state of the traffic in Mumbai or in Delhi? Exactly, this is the fate of the pharmaceutical industry today. And therefore, transactional marketing is flourishing. And it continued to flourish till only very recently. Come March 20th, the Janta Curfew was declared, and a few days later, total lockdown of India. What UCPMP could not do, coronavirus did it overnight. All hotels closed, all good restaurants closed, no flights, no train, and the GSS strategy came to a grinding halt. The brand managers and the entrepreneurs of this company started wondering who moved my GSC, who moved my Vigil Aid? It's not fair. They all became restless and were wondering what to do. When digital stalwarts like Subbarao or Salil Kalyanpur or Fanish Chandra and Pranav Kumar, they were clamoring for digital marketing. They turned a deaf ear to them. And today they all wanted to be digital marketers. What could they do at the shortest possible of time? And the only thing which they could think of was, and the only thing which they could think of was sending messages through WhatsApp. To them, sending messages through WhatsApp was more or less a form of digital marketing. Well, it is digital marketing, but in digital marketing, there are two kinds of strategies, the push and the pull. This was the push strategy which was adopted, forcing the messages on the doctors. Please send this brand. Please prescribe this and this brand, available freely. Sending emails. And most of these WhatsApp messages were not welcomed by the doctor. I was really surprised to see a report from the from IQVIA that 91% of the doctors they preferred WhatsApp message as the mode of communication. I don't know how they have arrived at this figure, but just imagine if you're a doctor, you're sitting on a doctor's chair, seeing around 60 to 70 patients every day. You're a cardiologist, about 300 medical representatives from pharma companies. They see you every month, and they all start sending you WhatsApp messages. You're on 300 WhatsApp messages daily from the pharma companies, from the patients, from the relatives of the patients, doctor's friends, the doctor's group, his classmates, his peers. from NGOs. My God, today doctor would be receiving at least 600 WhatsApp messages, or in other words, if it takes just a minute to go through every message, it would require 10 hours. Half a minute, about 6 hours. Who has the patience to run through all these WhatsApp messages? Unless you really have time. I talk about the push strategies. We also have the pull strategies, seducing the doctors to visit our microsites, our blogs, our webinars. But when there are constant messages on WhatsApp about webinars, doctors are fed up, and this is how the doctors respond. Let me read out one message from Dr. Padmanabh Kamath. He is one of the leading cardiosurgeons of Mangalore. He is the head of Mangalore Medical College. And this is what he says. Dear Vivek, it is almost 3 weeks now into lockdown, and we are saturated with information on COVID. It is time we stop sending repeated reminders to the doctors on COVID statistics. Also, it is time we stop webinars on COVID because it is turning out to be too toxic. My request to all the PMT and medical education departments of various pharma companies, please try out some innovative and think out of the box. Next time, send a link to popular article, landmark trials, some interesting PPTs, cardiology updates, links to some popular search engines like Ovid, Cardiosource, Cardioscience, Direct, and so on, but not invitations to webinars or WhatsApp messages, please. This is what happens when we push too hard. This is in Now we come to the post-COVID age. And in the post-COVID age, what is required is a paradigm shift. What is that paradigm shift? It is internal as well as external. Internal means we redefine the role of our medical representatives, and then our redefine our marketing activities. Today, medical representatives are more or less become beggars for prescription, the prescription beggars. Very sorry, I may become very unpopular for using this word, but you visit any of the OPD and you will overhear these very words pleading by medical representatives to the doctors, please give me one prescription per day. Please expire by this and this brand. Sir, if you do not prescribe my products, I may lose my job. It is high time we transform our medical representatives from prescription beggars to knowledge workers. And if some of the trainers they are here in the session, people like Anubhav Saxena, Dayanand Gundeti, or Pankaj Jha, my earnest request to them in their training sessions further on, please please make sure they are no longer prescription beggars, but they are dignified knowledge workers. It is up to you to transform them. Pharma industry marketing is now in deep problem. And when you are in deep problem, the only answer is to turn back to your basics. And what is the basics? The basics are in the book Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. In the post-COVID age, if you need to get prescriptions from doctors, you need to develop good relations with them. Yesterday we heard from Deep Bhandari what exactly is the meaning of customer relation management. Unfortunately, customer relation management today is a loose term for transactional marketing or trading for prescription. But the real definition of customer relation management we learned yesterday from Vidhi Bhandari sir. So coming back to the basics, I'd like to take I'd like to take you to an article which appeared in Harvard Business Review 60 years back. It's an article by Ted Levitt, one of the greatest marketing gurus. And this article by Ted Levitt, Marketing Myopia, has been acknowledged as one of the best articles of marketing in the 20th century. Ted Levitt talks about customer needs. Ted Levitt talks about customer orientation, satisfying the customer, or in other words, he talks about customer centric marketing. It talks about customer centric marketing. And this is exactly what we need to do in the Indian pharmaceutical industry post COVID. But the biggest question today, do you know who is your customer? Do you know who is your customer? Can anybody try to answer this question? Who is your customer? And most often it has been always told to us that the doctor is our customer. Yes, he's our indirect customer, but the ultimate customer is the patient. So we now need to talk about patient-centric marketing. Post-COVID, patient-centric marketing is going to play a very, very vital role. In today's subject, I'm going to talk about 5 parameters of prescription-centric marketing. One is about the doctor-patient relation. The second is patient adherence to drug therapy. The third is doctor-to-patient communication. The fourth is handling the side effects. And fifth, attention to geriatric patients. Attention to geriatric patients. It has been scientifically documented that if the doctor-patient relation is of a high quality, the patient outcome is always superior. The patient outcome is better. And that is where the pharma companies can step in, the brand managers can come in and have patient advocacy groups. Through the patient advocacy groups, they can build a healthy relation between the doctor and the patient. It is not that the doctor doesn't want to have good relations with the patient, they need to have, but do they have the time? The doctor-patient ratio is so bad, the doctors hardly get any time towards developing relations They become impersonal, they become unemotional when they are seeing patients. This is where the pharma companies can step in. They can initiate patient advocacy groups, and these patient advocacy groups can help in establishing a good doctor patient relation so that the patient outcome is better. So, when we are talking about patient centric marketing, it is basically keeping the patient in the center, the patient in the focus, and then developing all our marketing activities. The second point which we discussed was patients' adherence to therapy, patients' adherence to drug. There could be many reasons why drug adherence is poor. Maybe because of the side effects, maybe because of the cost, maybe memory. There could be many reasons. This is again where patient advocacy groups can help. The patient advocacy group. Do you know why patient adherence is very important? Today, we are all after sales target, running here and there, pushing the stockists, pushing the retailers to somehow achieve the sale. But do you know how much of sales volume is lost because of patient non-adherence? I like to refer a report from Cape Gemini, I think it was in 2016 or 17. They said that the potential loss of revenues because of patient adherence worldwide, worldwide, the loss of revenues because of patients' non-adherence to drug treatment is $564 billion every year. $564 billion, which is almost three times the revenues generated by the Indian pharmaceutical industry. So, if companies focus their attention on patient adherence rather than GS strategy, you can just imagine what could be the increase in the sale. Have you ever wondered what happens if the patients do not adhere to antibiotic therapy? And those results are seen in India. Development of resistance in India today, you have multi-drug MDDR, which is very common. These are the cause of patients non-adherence to therapy. Patient to doctor communication is also a very important angle which we need to look at. Good communication for the patient itself is a healing touch to the patient. Empathy is a healing touch. We can cure a patient, we can manage a patient without any drugs. But come to the doctors really have that kind of time to communicate with the patient. This is again where pharma companies can step in and help in doctor patient communication. It's not just the nurse, just not the doctors. Sometimes the nursing staff, for example, if you go to Calcutta, we have nursing staff from one particular state of India, which is engaged in most of the top hospitals over there. The nursing skills impeccable, but these nursing skills they become virtually ineffective sometimes because of the language barrier. The patient doesn't understand her language, neither she is able to communicate with the medical. This is communicate with the patient in a language which he understands. These are the sort of problems which we see in patient communication. And this is again where pharma companies can step in. And another very, very important point which we should not miss out, geriatric attention. The population of geriatric patients in India is increasing day and day. As the longevity increases today, the longevity which was once around 47 years in 1947, today in 2020 it is around 71 years. And by 2030 it is expected that the longevity may even come up to 75. Aging patient population, they also require a lot of help from patient advocacy group, and this again where pharmaceutical companies can step in. What are the common problems which are seen by the patients? Bathroom falls, toilet heart attacks, incontinence, and some simple things like toenail cutting. Very, very difficult for a patient. This is another thing which we need to address. Paying attention to geriatric patients, where patients' advocacy groups can help. And finally, we come to another very, very important point, and that is the side effects. Handling of side effects. That's something which is very, very, very crucial. Crucial both for the patient as well as for the relatives and for the caretakers. Often, it becomes very difficult for the caretakers to understand whether it is the disease itself which is causing distress or whether it is the medication which is causing the distress. A case in point is chemotherapy. The side effects of chemotherapy and the side effects of cancer, the caretakers, the patients, the relatives, they are not able to distinguish. Parkinson's disease, the mainstay in the disease today, even today, is co-carbidopa. Though co-carbidopa is more than 60 years, 50 years old in the market. But co-carbidopa has one very strange side effect. You keep on taking co-carbidopa, the international brand name for which is Sinemet, and India, the most popular brand is Sinupa, which has a market share of around 90% in this market. It gives rise to what you call as schizophrenia-like symptoms because this drug increases the levels of dopamine. How will the relatives know after 3 years whether this is the side effect of the drug or the patient has really become mad? This is where pharma companies can really be of help in alleviating the problems faced by the patients and their relatives. So, in the post COVID age, my dear friends, two things which are very, very important. One is digital marketing. Digital marketing is not a substitute for physical meeting of the doctors. Physical meeting of the doctors by medical representatives will continue as long as the sun continues to rise in the east. Because even today, doctors are emotional, they need emotional support. And that is why physical meeting of the doctors is very important. Of course, their roles will be changing, their roles will keep on evolving, will be redefined. There will be now more of knowledge workers rather than prescription beggars. So more than digital, it is phygital marketing which is going to play very important. And second, it is patient-centric marketing. So in the post-COVID age, I would request all the marketeers here and the future marketers to focus your attention on digital marketing and patient-centric marketing. Thank you very much.